2, 1.
All right. Want real gains? Try self-control. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of physical gains that you think of protein shakes and leg days. I'm talking about the real gains, important gains. I'm talking about self-control. And so, the way that I and millions of people across the globe practice their self-control is through fasting. And in concept, fasting is not much different than exercise is to fitness as fasting is to self-control. It is training. And so you can think of it in the same way that you do sports. Practice, practice, practice is what makes you better through exercise and resilience. So practice, practice, practice until you make physical gains. But this analogy also works with self-control in the same way, that you need to practice, practice, practice in order to reach a level of mental fitness that you want to achieve. And so, religions everywhere practice some form of fasting, but that which I am familiar with is that of Islam. And so for us, we have a period called Ramadan, which is a 1-month period that is cycling through the year because it's on a lunar calendar. And for us, it is no food or water from sunup to sundown. And many people, when they hear that, they think, wow, is that even possible? But I assure you, it definitely is within our capabilities. And so, but then again, also, fasting is not only exempted, but restricted from those who have any chance of bodily harm due to fasting, because personal health always comes before it. But fasting is not just about no food or water, it's a mindset, where you need to practice controlling your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And so, I'll tell you a quick story. I could say that I started fasting when I was 10 years old, when I first went from the half day to the full day. But that wouldn't really be true, because it didn't really mean much to me at the time. The first fast that really meant something to me was during the summer of junior year, so 2 fasts ago. The reason for that was because the second half of the fast coincided perfectly with the beginning of summer cross-country training. That is not a good combination. And so I was faced with the option between training or fasting, with my parents giving the obvious logical solution of just doing light exercise at home until the fast was over. But out of some deep well of stubborn confidence, I decided, why not both? And within a week, I admittedly went back to what my parents recommended, but for that 1 week, I felt true thirst and fatigue for the first time. The only way I can describe it was like trying to get an engine to run on fumes. It was not a pretty sight. But afterwards, I found that the same hills that I had had troubles with before, I had no problems with, because I had a new sense of what exhaustion meant. I could look back at that time and say, wow, this is almost nothing in comparison to what I've been through. And although it is based on somewhat unsound decision-making on my part, it does serve to illustrate the overall idea that self-control gives us a foundation for handling adversity in the future. And so, let me give you a quote by the poet Anne Bradstreet. If we had no winter, the spring would not be so pleasant. If we did not sometimes taste of adversity, prosperity would not be so welcome. This is illustrated in a study by a team of psychologists at the University of Buffalo, where they found a strong correlation between early adversity in people's lives and happiness and satisfaction later on. And what they were theorizing was that people who had that adversity felt a mastery over their past struggles, and the mindset that they would be able to cope with whatever the future would throw at them. Compared to the people who did not have that same adversity, they were not prepared, and they felt much more stressed about what the world could possibly throw at them. A similar idea is illustrated in Donald Miller's book, A Million Miles in 1,000 Years, where he describes how our lives are like books. And as the protagonist, for our book to have any meaning, we have to overcome and go through great obstacles. The power of struggle is also illustrated in a speech given by Naval Admiral William McRaven, where he talks about how a certain group of Navy SEALs during training were set aside and separated because they were to be punished with extra training. And their training kept compounding on itself, and they weren't prepared for the next day. But the very few that did not drop out he commented as being the most stellar in their mental fitness and capabilities mentally of becoming a soldier. And so I challenge all of you to try self-control. I'm not saying that you should all go out and fast, but if you really want to see some of the amazing things that you're capable of, practice self-control. Start with something simple. Maybe no Netflix for the day. And I notice some of you that might sound really hard, but I believe in you. Maybe from there you can move on to something like focusing intently for an hour, then 2 hours, 3 hours, and before you know it, you have more control over your own mind, which is one of the most amazing things a human being can have. And so, when I personally am faced with the last hill of a race, or a stack of calculus notes at 2 in the morning, or even if I'm hungry with food, but I see someone on the street who needs it more, I have the fortune of being able to look back at my past experiences and saying, I have done more than that. I am capable of more than that. If I did not fast, I might have given up on that hill. I might have put away the notes and gone to sleep. I might have thought my own hunger was more important, because I would have thought that all those things were unconquerable. But because I fast, I know what I'm capable of. And so, if you really want to see what you are capable of as well, I would recommend practice self-control in all the parts of your life, whether it be through exercise, fasting, prayer, meditation, even just work. Temper your own desires, because when you learn to deny your own instinct, you have the power to deny anything else. Thank you.